Hello friends, my name is Erin and welcome to episode 2 of TBR SLASHER. If you didn't see the first episode, I will have it linked down in the description box, but this is basically my version of a fun little way to try and read every book on my physical TBR. I have lots of books. I really need to recount how many I physically own and have to read. I will probably do that maybe this week while I'm filming this video. I don't know, but I really need to check. I was really inspired by my fellow booktubers who were coming up with all these really fun and genius ways of trying to read their TBR, and I am a huge mood reader. So I am going to spin this wheel 5 or 6 times during the video. It will really just depend on how motivated I am and how well the video's going and how many books I end up DNFing. This wheel has a bunch of categories on it. Some of them are genres like fantasy, horror, thrillers. Some of them are just categories like arcs, book subscriptions. I get an Erin's choice, which means that I get to pick whatever I want to read. That way I can pick any book that falls into whatever category it lands in. I just need more of like a say in what I read because I am just so bad at having like an actual TBR. Once I spin the wheel, figure out the category, pick the book, I will read it, you know, tell you my thoughts, and at the end of each book I will tell you if I think it is a final girl. The final girl will mean that this book is the survivor. It's a good one. I loved it. I want to keep it. It's getting a permanent spot on my red shelves, and the goal is to have one final girl, so one book I keep, and the rest are potential unhauls or, you know, donations, whatever. Just books that I don't need to keep because I have too many books. Hopefully that explains what we're doing, but this is the second time we are trying this. I did have a final girl last time, so I'm fingers crossed that we get a good selection here. So I guess it's time to figure out what category I'm going to be choosing from. So let's give the wheel a spin and we will move on from there and hopefully find something good to read. I'm scared. Okay, we landed on horror. That's pretty good. I think I actually have a few ideas in mind already. So let's go to my TBR shelves / the piles of books I have lying around and find something to read. Okay, don't pay attention to the state of my desk, okay? I have piles of books I need to organize. I know, okay, I know it looks really, really bad. I don't want to hear about it. Just ignore it, okay? Pretend it looks better than it does. I have 2 books that I'm thinking I could read for the prompt of horror. One of them is We Came to Welcome You. Yeah, We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Tirado. I bought this, when did it come out? Oh my gosh, I don't remember. I bought this towards the end of 2024 and I haven't read it yet. I've heard mixed things, but I know Jan really liked it and I've heard some interesting things about it. I think it sounds cool and I really want to read it, so this is definitely an option for me right now. But I'm also thinking about Private Rights from Julia Armfield. This one, I think is more iffy in terms of if I will like it. I read Julia Armfield's Our Wives Under the Sea and I really didn't like it, but I wanted to give her another chance. Oh, it's a reimagining of King Lear, which sounds interesting. I think it's more like a science fiction, dystopian, literary fiction horror, which is a lot of things, to be fair, and I don't know if I will like it. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I have a higher chance of disliking this one, though. So I think my pick is going to be We Came to Welcome You. I think this is the book I'm going to start with. It should be fun, I think. Yeah, this is my first pick for TBR SLASHER. So I'm going to start this one and I'll come back when I've read some of it and have some thoughts to tell you. Okay, it's time for an update. I am a little bit more than halfway through We Came to Welcome You. I'm not loving this like I initially anticipated. I'll explain why. Let me give you a brief synopsis of what this book is about, and then I will go through why I'm a little bit frustrated with this reading experience. Okay, so in this book, we're following Sol, who is married to Alice. And they have recently moved into a new house in this like gated community called Mainless Grove. You know, it's like a really picturesque place, but all the houses look identical, you know, the lawns look identical, everything's just very cookie cutter. And everyone's really nice, like the neighbors are nice, but they're very pushy about this like HOA. They want them to sign this contract. They want them to be a part of it. But the HOA has like really bizarre rules. I'm sure if you've ever had to do like a homeowners association, you know, they're like very strict, and you know, you don't get a lot of say even if it is your own house. So there's just like a lot of weird things happening. There's also some weird like occurrences happening inside the house, like supernatural things, but there's a lot going on with Sol. She's currently on probation at her job. She's like a scientist at Yale, and she's on probation because like some stuff happened and she got accused of plagiarism. So now she's not allowed to like go back to work until they decide if she's guilty or not, you know? And Sol is a very anxious, a very paranoid person. She becomes obsessed very, very quickly, and the stuff that she's experiencing in the house and in the neighborhood, like these weird, bizarre neighbors, the strange occurrences, like they're definitely not helping her anxiety and her paranoia. It's making things like 1,000 times worse, honestly. And she does have a problem with drinking as well. The reason I don't love this book is honestly a very personal reason. It doesn't have anything to do with this book. Like, I don't think that it's poorly written. I don't really think it's like a bad book. The reason I personally am not having fun while reading it is when Sol was introduced as this very anxious and paranoid and obsessive character, I saw a lot of myself in Sol, and usually that's like a good thing in a book where you can connect to a character and see yourself, you know, mirrored back. But in this case, it's almost a little upsetting to watch it. It's a little bit triggering, I guess is a word you could use. I'm seeing some things that I don't want to see reflected back, and it's if I was in a really bad mental health state right now, I think this would be like too much for me. Like, I would be like, I can't read this. Like, I would have to put it down and like wait, because I am in like an okay mental state right now. Like, my mental health isn't, you know, really, really bad, really poor. It's not too hard, but it is a little like, I don't really know the word. It's just not really fun for me to read, and I think it's because there are so many traits in Sol that a lot of people probably find very unlikable and very irritating and very just like makes her not like a bad person, but just not a very good character. And knowing that, but also seeing myself in her is very, it's very hard because not everything about Sol is likable, but I definitely can relate to Sol in a lot of instances, and that's not a fun experience for me right now. So that's not, I'm just not really loving that. I also really don't know if I like Sol's and Alice's relationship. They're married, but like, I just feel like they don't really feel married to me sometimes. Like, their fights are almost a little too mean. I don't feel the love between them, so it's a very irritating experience in that sense as well, to see them be so like snippy with each other, especially during such like a time of turmoil, and where they really should be like leaning on each other more than they have been. So I think that's also very irritating. And of course I can sit here and judge these characters all I want when I'm not in the same boat. But it is a big pet peeve of mine when characters are going through, you know, like a haunted house or something supernatural or like, you know, whatever the horror book is, but the significant others can't like join together and like work together and believe each other and rely on each other and then like come out on top together. It has to like be this push and pull the entire time you're reading this book, and it's such an irritating trope, and I hate reading that because I don't like that. It's just a very irritating thing to me. I don't like when significant others don't believe each other in books, and I know it's just such like an overused trope that I can't stand, but mixed with Soul's like paranoia and anxiety, it makes it like 1,000 times worse. So I'm just not really enjoying this reading experience. I'm about to hit part 2, which I feel like this book is kind of dragging. I'm on page 12 now or something like that. And I feel like it's dragging a little bit. I'm like waiting for it to get to the point. I feel like it's taken a bit to like build stuff up. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop and for things to get more messed up, I guess. I'm not really sure if this is the kind of horror I like. I think I'll know more once I finish the book, like what kind of direction it's heading in. The social commentary is very well done. I'm enjoying that aspect. But I think I think this is just hitting a lot of like sore spots for me that I just can't like enjoy this to the fullest extent. As of right now, this is definitely not going to be my final girl. It's feeling like a 3-star right now, I think. That's all I have to talk about right now. So I'm going to finish this and hopefully check in a little bit and give you my, you know, little wrap up on this, like wrap up my thoughts, and we'll spin the wheel again and keep on moving along until we find a final girl. Okay friends, I am back. I have finished We Came to Welcome You, and I just feel like this is going to be a 3-star for me. I didn't really like the ending of this one. I've heard a lot of people not like the ending to this one. It's not my kind of ending. I'm a little disappointed in where the horror part of this book went, mostly because I just thought it was going to be different. I don't know, it's just not the kind of horror that I like. It's not something that I was like that super interested in. I felt like the whole reading experience was a little bit frustrating for me in this one. Like I said in the last check-in, I just thought that it was like very hard for me to get into the main character and stuff like that because of like some of the things that the main character and I shared. It made me not really like reading from the main character's perspective. I think the social commentary was done really well. I did like that aspect of the book. I was still frustrated the entire time about Alice and Soul's relationship. I just feel like I didn't love their marriage. It was very like up and down sort of relationship in this book with all the stuff going on. I just really wanted them to work more together than apart like they were doing. So that was another thing that I just was frustrated by. So overall, I don't think this was my kind of horror book. I just don't think like all the elements together really worked for me as a whole. I can definitely see why people like this one. I think it's very interesting, but I didn't have a very good time while reading it. So I think I'm gonna settle on a 3-star. I didn't hate it. There were things that I did enjoy about it. It just felt a little slow a lot of the time, and I was waiting for things to be a little bit more climactic. When everything got revealed, it was just kind of a little, okay, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I think I'm gonna settle with a 3. I think that works for it. I think it's just very much an average book for me. So that means we get to spin the wheel and try to find another book, since that is obviously not our final girl. Let's spin this wheel. What I'm hoping for with this spin is either an Erin's Choice, that would be fantastic. An ARC would be fantastic. Book subscriptions would be fantastic. I don't really know what I'm in the mood for, but I think Erin's Choice, ARC, and book subscription would be one that I'm like really hoping for. So fingers crossed. Oh, literary. Oh, goody, goody, goody gumdrops. That's, oh God, oh, okay, oh God, I don't know. A literary book, a literary something, maybe a literary horror, a literary thriller, I don't know. I'll see you all at my shelves and we will see what I can work with. Okay, I see Big Swiss, which is definitely literary, I believe. I don't know if I want to read this though. I've heard some negative things. I think there's like some racism in this, which I'm not super excited about, so I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, I feel like I'm stupid right now. I feel like I cannot find a literary book. I know I have some, but I think I'm not remembering which ones are literary and which ones aren't on my shelves. I feel so dumb. I know I have some, but like I don't know what's wrong with my brain. It's not working, but I do know that this one, not Under Lock and Key, that's not what I meant. Julia Armfield's Private Rights. I know this one is literary and it was one of my options for the last spin. So now I'm like, well, what if I just read this one now? Because I was planning on it for the last spin. So now I'm just gonna do this because my brain is not, I don't know what's going on, but for whatever reason, I cannot figure out what is literary and what isn't right now on my shelves. I'm drawing a blank to all my books. I swear I have more literary than Big Swiss. I'm pretty sure I have more than Big Swiss. I don't know what is wrong with my brain, but I'm gonna go with this one. This is gonna be my next read. This is the UK cover, and this is the one that Aardvark, I have like stuff all over it though. This is the one that I got from Aardvark, and this is the UK cover, and I love it so much more than the US cover. But anyways, this is gonna be my next read. I will update when I have read it or gotten halfway, whenever I decide to update you with my thoughts and feelings. So I have finished Private Rights, and I read the entire thing before I checked in because this is a weird book. I had to think about my thoughts on this one because I'm not sure how I feel about it. I did not enjoy this author's other book, Our Wives Under the Sea. I think because that was like one of the first literary horrors that I had read in maybe ever. It was one of the first like literary horrors that I found to be more literary than horror, and I have to say that I think this is the exact same thing. I was expecting more horror with this. I feel like talks a lot, but nothing really happens. But I kind of liked this one. For whatever reason, I was into it. Like, I was pretty invested, even though a lot of the things involved in this book I shouldn't like. It's kind of science fiction, kind of dystopian. It's very literary. It's about siblings, which I don't typically like sibling relationships in my books. I think it's because I'm an only child, so it's just like weird to me to read about siblings. It's just not something that I know a lot about. So I believe this is like a reimagining or a retelling of King Lear, which I am not super well versed in. I know the bare minimum about it. But I have never actually read it. I kind of was like, I don't really know what this is gonna entail, but you're really following three sisters, Agnes, Irene, and Isla. And their father has recently passed. They have a very complicated relationship with each other. They're very odd. But there's also this like apocalyptic end of the world kind of element because it's raining all the time. Like, all it does is rain. It just rains, and the city is slowly drowning, I guess. And that's a big part of this book. I don't know what it is about this because I feel like a lot of it went over my head, to be honest. I feel like I'm not smart enough to have comprehended what this book was trying to say. But for whatever reason, the vibes I liked. I liked the vibes. I liked the whole city drowning, everyday raining, that's like the end of the world. I thought that was interesting. I thought the sisters were actually really interesting, which is a good thing because that was like 90% of the book. 90% of the book is you reading from their perspective and just like learning about them, learning about their relationships, learning about their relationships with each other, their relationships with their significant others, the world, how they interact with the world and what's going on with the world, and like how the end of the world is coming and that kind of thing. It's very weird. I liked the writing more in this book than in Our Wives Under the Sea. And I don't know if it's because of like when I'm reading it in my life. I've had more experiences with literary fiction, so maybe that's why I can like appreciate this one more. Maybe this one just had more elements that I liked about it than the other one. I don't know. It's a weird book. I kind of liked the ending, but I kind of hated the ending at the same time. But like it kind of fit with everything else, so I don't know how I feel about this book. I'm not the best person to review this because I'm not an expert in literary fiction at all. Literary horror is kind of confusing to me a lot of times because I need it like dumbed down. And I'm just like, my brain doesn't process like that. So I'm like the worst person to review this book, but I did enjoy it. If I'm going off of vibes only, not like plot, not messaging, none of that, just vibes, I'd probably give it a 4. Just vibes. Vibes only, 4. Everything else, I have no idea what. I have no idea. I don't know, but I kind of liked it. I think I need someone to like explain the book to me. But it was a good time. I enjoyed it. It's a little bit slow because nothing really happens. It's only 289 pages or something like that. But yeah, I mean, not a lot happens. I don't know. It was weird, but I liked it. I am gonna say that today, it is Friday the 10th. It's like 4:30 in the morning, so it's just now Friday. Well, it's been Friday for a while, but it's Friday. So today is the first day of Winterween, which is a readathon hosted by Gabby Reads here on YouTube. I will link all the information about Winterween down below, but I'm trying to do Winterween this year again. So I think I'm gonna count this as my read a thriller or horror. So this is gonna be the horror book I read for Winterween. So I'm hoping that Another Spin will match another Winterween book. We'll see. It's time for another spin. I don't even know what I want at this point. Like, truly, I really don't know what I want. So I guess we're just gonna spin. Mystery. Mystery, mystery, mystery. Okay. Okay. I have those. I have a few of those. Mystery. Oh. You know what? I just bought a mystery book. Hang on a flip-flapping second. So this whole idea is really to get my TBR down and to pick books off my TBR that I don't really read, and I've kind of not done that in this video so far because I've picked like new books that I've gotten, and I'm about to do it again. I'm gonna go with The Blue Hour by Paula Hawkins. I picked it up from the Barnes & Noble hardback sale, so I got it like 50% off. And I don't know anything about it. This will be my first Paula Hawkins, I think? Maybe? I could be lying about that. Wait, no. Didn't she write The Girl on the Train? Then I've read that, never mind. But whatever. This is one of my newer Paula Hawkins books. I probably shouldn't go with this because I have so many books on my TBR, but this is like a mystery thriller. It says mystery first on Goodreads, so I'm gonna go with mystery. It looks good, okay? And like the inside's really cool looking. I don't know. I'm just like intrigued by it, okay? So we're gonna pick this. I'll probably use this for read a book in the dark for winterween. I read in the dark most of the time, so yeah. But I read this in the dark too, so I mean, I get that done either way. But I'm gonna do this now. I think this will be interesting. So this is what the wheel has chosen, and we are going to see what this is about. So I finished The Blue Hour, and I don't quite know how I felt about this. I feel like I liked it for the most part. I don't really think it was super wow. Like, it didn't really wow me. Like, it wasn't anything mind-boggling, but I did like it. I enjoyed my time with it. I can see a lot of people being irritated with this one because it's very, very slow. I don't think it makes sense as a thriller at all. I definitely consider this more of a mystery than I would like a thriller. This is about this artist named Vanessa Chapman, and she was like very notorious. She also had a husband that went missing 20 years ago, and they had a very like tumultuous relationship. This man named James Becker, he works for this like art gallery, and this discovery is made with one of Vanessa's art pieces. So he ends up having to go to the place where she was like doing a lot of her art, and it's on this Scottish island. There's like one tiny home. This woman named Grace lives there, and her and Vanessa were very, very close. There's like a lot of weird elements to this because I didn't really understand what the book was trying to do at first. It's a very simple plot once it starts going, and I don't think it's bad. Like I said, I think it's a very average mystery though, but I liked it. I would say I give it like a 3.5. There's a lot of buildup, there's a lot of slowness. I feel like the atmosphere was really cool with like the little island in Scotland and the ocean and that kind of stuff. That was kind of fun. The art stuff, it got a little technical at times, and I was kind of like, I don't know enough about art in the technical realm to know what you guys are talking about, so I'm just gonna pretend I know and keep on moving on. The ending was my favorite part just because I think it finally escalated to a climactic region that I was excited about, but I didn't hate it. Like I said, the experience was good. It was fine. It was entertaining enough for me to keep reading. It's only 300 and some pages, so it's pretty short. I feel like it reads fairly fast. The chapters aren't too long, and you get Grace's perspective and also James Becker's perspective. I think getting both of their perspectives made the journey to the ending more fun. So I liked that. But again, nothing like super stand out. But I don't really know how I feel about this author. I've only read The Girl on the Train, and I liked that one. I think I gave it like 3.5 or 4 stars when I read it. So yeah, I mean, I liked that one enough too. So definitely not my final girl. So for our next spin, I have a guest. If you watched episode 1, I also did this, but I'm going to have Justin, my fiance, spin the wheel for me. Yes, this is my engagement announcement, I guess. If you follow me on Instagram, you already saw it, but we are engaged. So anyways, he's gonna spin the wheel and pick the book that I'm gonna read next because it was fun last time, and I don't like all the pressure being on me. So you better spin it on a good one. I'm so scared. What if you get something bad that I don't want to read?
What do you think I'm going to spin? Throw out your guesses now.
Aaron's choice would be cool, but that means it's not my choice anymore. It's your choice. Horror would be good because I'm trying to do winterween, and I have to hit 2. I have to read a horror book that was published 5 years ago, at least 5 years ago, and I also need to read a novella or a manga, and I need to read a book that has a house in the title or on the cover. Ugh. So I don't know, book subscription would be good. So mean.
Okay.
Okay, spin it. What is it? Book subscriptions! Okay, so I have 3 subscriptions that I have books that belong to. So Book of the Month, Aardvark, and Twisted Retreat. So any of those books you can pick from, but that's it. And hopefully you can find either one with house and a title, one that was published 5 years ago. That's not gonna happen. I don't think I have one. So, good luck. That's his job now. He gets to pick for me. He has went over all his options and he has decided on the book. I only know the top 4 that he was between. I do not know the book he chose for me. So he's about to give me the book and I will be shocked along with all of you. Maybe. We'll see. I think I know which one he went with, but we'll see. I think I do. Let me see. Oh, this is not what I thought you were going with. He went with Starling House by Alex E. Harrow.
It's about a house or something. I don't know.
It's about a house or something. I don't know. I believe this is like a cozy gothic horror kind of vibe. I've heard mixed things about it. Some people really like it. Some people really hate it. It says it's a gorgeous modern gothic fantasy. I have never read anything from this author, so this will be my first. I think it sounds good. I think it sounds interesting. Yeah, this is what we're going with. So it doesn't look too long. I feel like I can read it fairly quickly. So I will check in when I've read a decent amount or I finished it if I want to wait and go over my thoughts when I finish the book, but I will come back and let you know how I feel about this one. Also, thank you, Justin, for picking it.
No problem. I'm good at picking things.
So, I was actually listening to The Starling House. I was listening to an audiobook while I don't even know if you can see that. It's really bright, sorry. I was listening to the audiobook from pretty much the start. I was cleaning my library filming area because I let it get really, really bad at the end of the year. So I needed to clean this room and I didn't really want to physically read. So I was like, okay, let's try an audiobook. I'm trying to expand into audiobooks, even though we know that I'm not very good at listening to them. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a try. Because I picked this up physically. And I only made it, where am I at? I'll show you. Chapter 4, right here. It's only like 24 pages in. And I was not really feeling it physically. So I thought this was a good opportunity to try an audiobook, but also maybe see if listening to it would make it more interesting, make me more engaged with the story. Like I said, 21% in. I am so bored. I don't really like this book. I don't know. I'm not really getting horror. I'm kind of getting gothic. I'm kind of getting like fairy tale-ish fantasy vibes. I'm not really getting any like scary, creepy moments. This book is about Opal. I believe she's 26. She's dropped out of high school. She's also an orphan and she's taking care of her younger brother. And, you know, they're scraping by. She's trying to give her younger brother a better life than she had. And she wants him to get out of this town. They live in Eden, Kentucky, I believe. And it's basically one of those towns that you want to leave when you're growing up. You're like, I don't want to stay in this dead-end town. I want to get out of here and make it somewhere else. You know, it's like one of those places. So E. Starling was like a reclusive author that wrote this book called The Underland, and Opal was like obsessed with it as a child. So she's obsessed with this house that this author had. This author went missing like 100 years ago. I think they like disappeared. They like vanished. And now the person that has taken over the house is Arthur. And he's like kind of surly and he's very reclusive himself. No one really knows anything about him. No one ever really sees him. He doesn't interact with the people. But Opal has these dreams about this house, right? Like, it's calling to her. She feels this like weird pull. They're kind of like creepy dreams though. They're not like positive, happy dreams. They're like, they're like not great dreams. But she's like, oh, I'm just drawn to this house, and Arthur ends up giving her a job there because she's so drawn to the house. And now there's some kind of like romance going on with Arthur and her, which feels very bizarre. I love a romance. I love horror and romance. I like mystery and romance, thriller and romance, fantasy romance, whatever. I love it with romance. I like a little bit of romance in whatever genre I'm reading. And this feels so out of place. It feels so bizarre. They don't feel like they have chemistry. They don't feel like they go together. The characters are weird. Opal's supposed to be 26. This is an adult book. It does not read like an adult book. It reads like a YA, and I'm not enjoying that, like at all. There's also, this is probably really petty to be like mad about, like, I'm gonna be honest. It's probably really, really, really petty, but there are footnotes at the bottom of pages. Why? Am I reading a textbook? Is this an academic book? Is this House of Leaves? No, it is not. Why do you have footnotes? Why are there footnotes? And I'm just like not, I'm just not into this. I will say though, there are like pictures in here. There was a picture in here, and that was very cool. Liked that, but honestly not worth my time. I am going to DNF this because I'm not reading a book that I already don't like. It's January of 2025. No, we are DNFing. And oh my gosh, this is weird. This is my left hand holding it. No, this is my right hand. What am I talking about? This is my left hand, and I'm about to spin with my left hand, and I don't know how well that's gonna go. But we're gonna spin. So let's see what we land on. What did I land on? Mystery again. Wow. Mystery. 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 I don't know. Oh, wait. I'm looking at my shelves. Hello. Hi. There's a bookshelf right there. I'm seeing right here The Thursday Murder Club. This is on my 25 books to read for 2025. I also have heard really good things about this series. I think it should be fun. Do I just go with this? Like right off the back? Do I just pick this? Right off the back? Right off the bat? I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, you know what? No, we're gonna go with The Thursday Murder Club. I saw it first. It just feels right. It looks like short chapters. So this is gonna be my next read. I will update you and tell you how it's going. Everyone, I think we have found our final girl. Everyone clap. Give it up for The Thursday Murder Club. If someone had told me before I read this book that I was gonna fall in love with 4 little elderly people in a retirement village and care about them and love their personalities and just like be so invested at the end of this book, if someone had told me that before I read this, I would think you were lying to me. But it's true. I absolutely loved this. Thank you to everyone in my comments who was like, The Thursday Murder Club, you're gonna love it. It's so good, blah, 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 blah. Like all of you who were in my comments saying that, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I fear I am going to have to read every book now. I think I'm obsessed. I think I need to get the second book right now because I need to continue this immediately. That's not the point of this series. The point of this series is to get my TBR under control. But finishing this book is now making me need to buy more books. But this is a 5-star, so it's actually my 3rd 5-star of the year. We're in January 2025, the first month of the year. We're barely in 2025 and I've had 3 5-star books. Can we just have a moment of silence for my 5-star curse from last year being over? Thank you. Thank you. Anyways, this is a what? I don't know what that was. This is a murder mystery. This book is about 4 elderly people who are living in a retirement village, and they meet every Thursday to talk about murder. They talk about unsolved cases. They go over just true crime. They're very into it and they're very interested. They talk about, you know, who they think did it and that kind of thing. It's a whole thing. But then a real murder happens and they're like, wait, we're really good at this. This is a real murder. This isn't a case where we don't have any stakes. We should get involved and put our knowledge to the test and try to solve who did it. I was actually super impressed with the twists and the turns and the overall mystery portion of this book. I think some murder mysteries are very copy and paste. They're very much like thrillers. I feel like if you read a good amount of them, sometimes it gets very samey. You feel like you're reading the same book over and over and over and over again, and if you're like me, that gets very tiresome and you want something unique and you want something that's gonna, you know, surprise you and jump out and give you, you know, that kind of feeling where you feel like you haven't read this type of book before. So I was actually super impressed with the mystery portion of this because it took me on a wild little roundabout chase. I thought I knew what was going on most of the time, and I was getting whiplash because it really takes you on a twisty journey, and I was super surprised. But another reason why I was super surprised is this is a murder mystery, of course, but there's actually so much more depth to it. It's about growing old. It's about, you know, what it's like to be older and what it's like to age. It's very sad at times, but also really beautiful and heartfelt about aging. And I feel like people feel like their life is over when they're old. I know I'm guilty of that too. I'm not saying that I'm not. I think a lot of people think aging is like a death sentence because, you know, eventually we will all die. But I think reading these books, you can see that these people, they're living life. I mean, they were having so much fun and they were making me giggle. I was literally laughing out loud about this book. It's so funny. But the depth and talking about aging and friendship, oh my god, it was so sweet at times. And I loved that. I loved that there were layers. It wasn't just a regular old murder mystery. It had other stuff happening and it was just so enjoyable. I can definitely see why this wouldn't be for everyone. It does take place in Britain, so the humor is very British humor. There's a lot of British slang, and obviously if it takes place in Britain, the places are British, and you know, there's some references to that. So I think if you don't really get British humor, it probably won't be funny or enjoyable. It could be more of a slog to get through. I kind of think of it as people who loved the US version of The Office and then checked out the UK The Office and didn't like it as much, and they were like, I don't think it's funny. I feel like it's that kind of thing. If you're not into British humor, you probably wouldn't like this. I thought it was hilarious. I loved it. Enjoyed every second of it. It was an easy 5 stars. Didn't guess anything that happened in this one. It took me on a whole journey. Again, need to read the series as a whole. I'm so ready to read the rest of the series because I loved this one. So this is 100% our final girl, unless the next book, which is the final book, is somehow better than this one, which I highly doubt. But there could be 2 final girls in a video. That's not illegal. But as of right now, this is our final girl. I am 1 book away from finishing Winterween. I still need to fulfill the prompt that is read a horror book that was published 5 years ago or older. And I haven't read any horror books that were from 2020 or beyond. I really need to land on horror or I can't finish Winterween. Please, Erin's choice or horror, please. Yes! Do you see that? It landed on horror! Oh my gosh. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, I actually found 5 books that I could read. I always find you. This is by the same author who wrote Let the Right One In, which I absolutely loved. This came out in like 2016 or something. 2015. Unbury Carol by Josh Malerman. I haven't had good luck with Josh Malerman, so I think this is probably a bad idea to go with this one. But it came out in 2018. Shirley Jackson, Dark Tales. This is like a short story collection. I haven't read too much Shirley Jackson, but this edition came out in 2017. Depraved by Brian Smith. I think this is an extreme horror. This came out in 2020, I believe. So, and then I have Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey, and this came out in 2014. So I've got some options. I feel like Unbury Carol is probably not the best one to read right now. This could be good. It's short as well. These two would be like the shortest ones that I could get done, which would be fun. I don't know if I'm in the mood for a short story collection, but it does sound good. I don't know if I'm in the mood for extreme horror right now. This is about cannibals and sex trafficking. Sounds dark, but also sounds like something I could like, so don't know. I've heard mixed things about Suffer the Children. I've heard a lot of good things and I've heard a lot of bad things. So I don't know if I will like it. I don't know which one to read. I wish you guys were here so you could be like, hey, Erin, read this one. But I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're telling me. So I'm gonna have to go off how I'm feeling. I think I'm gonna go with I Always Find You. Moving into a dilapidated apartment block in Stockholm, a young man hopes to make his living as a magician, but this building contains strange secrets and his neighbors seem one by one to succumb to the strange pull in the basement. Behind that door, they can be transported to ecstasy, and the price of entry is just a little blood at first. But it sounds interesting. And I loved Let the Right One In. So I'm excited to read more from this author. So we're gonna go with this one, I think. And I will come back and let you all know how it went and if it's another final girl or not. Who knows? You're probably all thinking, wow, Erin, what a quick update. I mean, obviously it was a quick update because you're watching a video, so there's like no time in between the last update and this update, but whatever. You were probably like, Erin, oh my god, you're updating so fast. Did you finish the book? Are you a speedy reader? Did you just devour it in one sitting? No, I'm DNFing it. I made it pretty much halfway, 123. I'm about to start part 2 of this book. It's divided into 3 parts. There are no chapters, which is not a good thing because I hate books with no chapters. It is disgraceful to have a book with no chapters. I can't do this. I am not enjoying this book. I do not like it. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just so different from Let the Right One In, which I'm not saying I was expecting that book, but even the writing style feels so dramatically different and it feels like I'm reading a different author. I don't know if that's just me, but I am so disconnected from this book. I cannot get into it. I cannot get into the pacing. I cannot get into the plot. The plot is really bizarre. It is a weird book. It's a weird book. On the back, it says that I Always Find You is a horror story drawn from the author's own past. So it's told kind of like it's nonfiction in a way. The main character's name is John, which is the author's name, and it's being written as if it is a memory and he's telling this story. But the story is so weird. He's moved into this apartment building and it is just like, it's not great. It is falling apart. It's gross. It's grimy. It's falling apart basically. No one should live there. And he's moved in and his neighbors are bizarre. Like really, really, really weird. He's trying to be a magician, which is also kind of weird. I'm not trying to be mean, but it is a little bizarre. It does feel like we are talking a lot about him being a magician, and I'm just gonna be honest, it's kind of boring. There's also these parts where he was writing a story about something that happened in his childhood, but he was trying to make it more like fantastical to, I guess, deal with the trauma, and I was kind of invested in that, but then that's over now, at least I think so. From where I am now, it's over. And I don't care about him being a magician. The neighbor stuff kind of, and I mean kind of, like a teeny bit, reminds me of The Cipher by Kathy Kojo. These neighbors are like obsessed with a certain spot in the apartment complex. Like they stay around that area, and there's something ominous about this area. And they just seem like really weird. They talk to him in metaphors, I guess, and it's bizarre. And I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't like it. I can't get into it. The writing is so odd. The story is not captivating at all. I'm so bored. I can't do it. So this is my second DNF for Winterween and this video, which is, I think, a new world record for me, which is awesome, I guess. Yay, Erin. I don't know. On the plus side, we did have a final girl. The Thursday Murder Club is our winner. She survived. She made it out. She survived the serial killer, bad guy, masked killer, whatever we're talking about. I don't know. The final girl. Whatever the evil was, me, I guess, because I'm the serial killer in this sense. She survived. She wins. She put up a fight for me and she won. 5 stars. I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to my second favorite book in this vlog, which was Private Rights by Julia Armfield. I can't stop thinking about it. It's a very weird book. Like, very weird. I don't think she's a final girl. I'm not saying she's a winner, but she kind of feels like the best friend of the final girl, you know, where the both of them are about to make it out at the end of the movie. They're running from the killer, and then she trips and falls. And the final girl comes back and she's trying to save her, and then the killer just like, pop, you know, ends her. So she doesn't quite make it, but she was close. You know, she's like, she's almost there, but she dies right at the very end. That was a very weird comparison. I still think this was a good book, and I actually do really like it. So I do think she deserves some attention, some love from me, but we know who really won, you know? I promised you that we would have a total book count for this series. So I did. I added up all my TBR, and I have the number, which is actually way less than I thought. When I moved into this apartment last year in January, I was at like almost 400 books, I think. But my TBR is currently sitting at 226 books. I actually think I can do this. Like, I think I can read and get my TBR down this year. I really do. If I keep this video series alive and I keep it going, it's definitely doable. With all the unhauls that I've been doing, DNFing books that I'm definitely not liking and not, you know, suffering through them like I have in the past, and, you know, just trying my best, man, I actually think I could get my TBR way down this year, which is amazing. I'm sure some of you are like, 226 is insane. No, it is. It's insane. It's disgusting. But it's better than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be closer to like 400, so I'm very relieved. I'm not on a no-buy, and I think it's ridiculous to put myself on a no-buy. It just won't happen, and it's unrealistic for me. But I am gonna try my best to either buy only what I really want and what I really, really like need, and stick to my physical TBR and the library. That's where we're at for the first TBR slasher of 2025. I hope you all enjoyed. Give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this series. I hope you are. I'm having a blast doing it, and it's been so much fun to do this. So hopefully you all are really excited. Subscribe if you are looking forward to more TBR slashers and you want to see some more videos I have on my channel. But with that being said, I will see you all probably in my next video, but also in February for the next TBR slasher. Bye!